Alright. Hey everyone. So I had someone send me a link on this new machine called a Proteus. I thought it'd be cool to just show you guys the website, talk about it a little bit. I think there's some really interesting points we can make with all of our training, whether we use this particular piece of equipment or not. So the first thing I'm going to do is refresh this page here because I want you to be able to see kind of some of these demonstrations going on in the background. And let me start by saying this seems super cool. Uh, I would love to mess with one of these if given the chance. Now, the problem is probably cost. Couldn't find it anywhere on the website, so it's probably not a cheap piece of equipment. Um, but what it does is gives you essentially multi-planar resistance. So think of some of the rotation movements you would have to do with bands, um, maybe some jumping stuff, some twisting stuff, and this is designed to let you do that. But it also gives you a readout. So I'm going to scroll down here and you'll see you get this app with it. It gives you all this kind of information about how much force you're producing, arms versus legs, um, some strength ratios. It looks like maybe some speed. I can't quite tell. But some pretty cool data in here. So this could be very useful, I think, especially in an evaluation sense. Maybe working with the top 1% or the 1% of the 1% athletes where you're trying to get some really fine details, or if you're trying to run some research studies and see what makes a difference over 8-week time frame versus training for an entire year. Now, there's claims here. I don't see any citations of these, so these are always a little bit taken with a grain of salt. 95% greater muscle of activation. We don't know 95% greater than what. The thing is, if you put a heavy resistance band or a light band and you're moving at maximum speed, or you're pushing yourself to the limits with your weight training, I can promise you whatever percentage activation you're getting, you're not going to get 95% more just because a machine is set up special. Eliminate soreness. Maybe, I mean, that really has a lot more to do with the type of contraction you make than the piece of equipment you're using, but I can see this definitely being biased towards quicker movements, which tend to make us less sore. And then I think they're basically saying that leads into you can use it every day. True and not true. High-speed movements, power movements can be very exhausting on your central nervous system, so it's not always something you want to do day after day, although you could probably get away with it for a few days in a row at a time. They got some testimonials on here. You can hear from them. I'm actually going to send them an email and see if I can learn a little bit more about it just because I'm curious. I'll click around this website a little bit more. You see their About Us page. So they talk about their founder and osteochondritis dissecans, which is abbreviated OCD. Talks about some injuries and kind of how they use that to find their way to this machine. And again, sure, I'm sure it has some implications in rehab. I'm sure it's a very useful piece of equipment. But the main point I want to make with this video is don't feel like this is the stuff that you have to get the most out of your training. I say it till I'm blue in the face again and again and again. Training is about consistently showing up and putting forth a strong effort. I would always take someone, even putting forward moderate intensity over a time frame of a year, I'll take their results every time over someone who wants to put it high intensity 4 or 5 times a week, but only lasts a month and a half at a time, gets distracted. So it's really about consistency, nailing the basics, these functional movements, your squats, your deadlifts, your different pal-offs and rotation movements, your medicine ball throws, things like that. Nailing that is going to get you results. Something like this might help a little. But to get the bang for your buck, if you're just kind of an everyday Joe out there trying to play a little bit better golf and be in a little bit better shape, this is not certainly something you're going to need. And I think this point expands to other things because I think we chase these rabbit holes a lot of times, right? We see these ads, they pop up on Facebook or Amazon and Google, and the new piece of equipment and how effective it can be and how much it's going to help. Where really, if we just kind of buckle down and spend a consistent 3 hours a week training, we'd get probably even more results than we would even expect. So again, Proteus system in review, very cool looking thing, in all likelihood very expensive, probably some potential in evaluations, maybe in research. Maybe I'll look into get a PhD someday and do some research on this thing. But other than that, don't get confused. Nail the basics over and over and over and over, and you will get better. I promise you that's the case. And if you trust me, I can show you. You've probably seen my videos, set up in the basement. I've got some weights, I've got some bands, do some yoga. It's a pretty basic setup. It works really well. Tend to have a high swing speed, hit the ball far. We don't have to get overly complicated, even though some of this stuff is really cool. So buckle down, get a good training plan together. If you don't know how to get one together, get some advice on it. I'm always happy to help with that. And then execute, execute, execute. Don't fall too much for the bells and whistles. Just drive home the basics and you'll do awesome. If I get some news back from the company, I'll post another video just so I can let you guys know what I find out. And hey, maybe we'll run into a chance to experiment with it, and I can give you even a little bit more info there. All right, hope that was interesting to you guys. If you have any other products you want me to talk about or any things you have questions about, send me an email, digitalgolfdoc@gmail.com. I'd love to weigh in, give you an opinion, and talk about benefits, pros, cons, things like that. I'll catch y'all later.